Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is what we have been waiting for. This is the very beginning of the season. We are finally turning it on. Here we go. It is time. We're going to jump right into this right now. We're going to start looking into this new season. And we're going to start with something I like to call the Coors Light Cooldown. Hold on. Bang. There it is, folks. The Coors Light Cooldown. Presented by Coors Light. The official drink of the NSTL Dynasty Football League. Presented by Coors Light. Where there is always a Diet Coke within reach. Where there is always a win in your heart. And there is always a moment to call your friends the biggest fucking morons on the face of the planet Earth. Or the universe, better known as the galaxy of Milky Way. Let's look into this. We got our rankings right here, as you can see, right in front of me. Starting with the champ, TM. That's Heckman. It's our boy. He's off the charts. You can't even see him behind my camera frame here. I mean, just boom, off the, gone, bye, see ya, later, doesn't matter. What are we looking at here? What needs addressing this offseason, and did they address it? That's what we'll be getting into on today's Coors Light Cooldown, presented by Coors Light, the official drink of the NSTL Dynasty Fantasy Football League, presented by Coors Light, where there is always a Diet Coke within reach. Looking here, we got Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, and Dak Prescott. We are absolutely set moving into next season. We don't need to do anything. If anything, we could down tier from Dak Prescott. But that has been offered. I can tell you as Insider Castile right now, there have been offers made on Dak Prescott to get him a younger quarterback, and he has refused, stating he does not need to do anything. He is set, he is firm, and he is going to hold fast to his beliefs. Sorry, getting a little... Moving on, we got Bijan, the #1 running back rated by the consensus Flock Fantasy pundits. All 8 of them. The average consensus is Bijan is #1 running back in the league. Ahead of Jameer. I don't know if I agree with that. But that's what he's sitting with. He's got Breece Hall and an invigorated Chubba Hubbard. Like, if I had that guy on my team, I'd have a Chubb the size of planet Jupiter in these joggers. Like, it would... I would be going camping, is what I'm trying to tell you, if I had that running back room. Because I don't have that running back room. I have the ancient Egyptian pyramid version of that running back room. And they're about to disintegrate into the sand and become the desert once again. Moving on. He doesn't really need to address anything there. Oh, look at this. What do we have here? The #1... The #2, just kidding, 4 and 7 in the Dynasty rankings consensus. Pretty damn good, though, when you have Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. Too bad they have sacks of shit throwing the ball to them. That's all I'll say about that. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans in a Dynasty league, that's not going to get you much, but when you've already won once and you're playing with house money and you got $1,000 to your name, and you just gave it back to Carter. You said, here's that 100 you gave me, here's it back, bro, because I'm going to win it again. Then I'm going to be up 2,000, and I'm going to give you another 100 back, and we're going to return that investment over and over again. We're going to return that investment and become champion again. Do we need to address anything here? We need to get a little younger. Despite having 2 of the youngest, previously rookies last season in your room, we need to get a little younger at wide receiver. We're going to test if you address that later on. Your tight end room needs work, except for the fact you picked up Arroyo. Fuck you. Draft picks. We have our 1 and our 3rd. We have our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And we have our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in 2028 as well. Just not showing up here. Not bad, missing a 2nd round, but when you're the champ, who gives a fuck about your draft picks? Because you're the champ, hence the team name. Moving on, in a surprise jump up the standings over the last season, despite winning almost no games and tanking, it worked out for him because look at the value, folks. Look at the value, 26,721 for Jamboy. We won't get into that team name very much, not here on this YouTube channel. Insider Castile stays away from those things. Let's see if we have addressed team needs. We have a young quarterback room, but unfortunately, besides Patrick Mahomes, who even he has had a downward trend, we don't really have much to say here. Hendon Hooker, I can't believe he's still on your roster. That would be like if I still had the sushi from 2 weeks ago in my fridge. I'm never going to eat it. I won't. It would make me sick. So, why is it in my fridge? Because I'm lazy and stupid. That's why Hendon Hooker's on your team, because you're lazy and stupid. Moving on, running back room. With 2 first-round picks in the top 10 picks, we addressed a very, not even a huge need you had, Bucky Irving. But we got even younger and even better in the running back room by adding Omarion Hampton and Quinshon Judkins. In a rapid-fire round, we got Omarion, Bucky, Quinshon, Baishu Talton, Jarquez Hunter, Braylon Allen, Blake Corum, Raheem Mostert. Your average age of your running backs is like 21 years old. They can barely go to the bar and drink. They won't be having kids for the next 5 years. That's pretty outstanding. We didn't even need any free agents to address that at all this season. The wide receiver room, almost the exact same thing, because we were gifted on a silver platter Jackson Smith and Jigba, and we got to draft with our 3rd pick in the top 10, I believe. That is asinine. Pat McMillan. And we already had Xavier Worthy that we drafted last year, and we had Garrett Wilson, who is going to bounce back with Justin Fields behind him and have a DJ Moore-ass season. That's where all our value comes from, folks. It doesn't matter that we have Coker, a broken-down Roman Wilson, and the Dropsy McDropsky Quentin Johnson on our group here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even factor in. We'll never play them because we have 4 outstanding wide receivers sitting there, and we picked up Keandre Lambert-Smith just as a flyer to say, what the fuck? Who am I kidding? I can do something. And we have the number 1 tight end, consensus. Even I'll admit it. If I could have him over Trey McBride, I would. I did it in a redraft league. Brock Bowers, the Bauer Ranger himself. And we have our first round. We have Poopy Pants Voshel's first round because he traded for Rachaad White! This is what Notre Dame fans do. With as the power of the Lord and Savior as my witness, Notre Dame fans ruin football for everybody. They ruin national championship games. They ruin college football bets. Notre Dame fans ruin everything. They ruin everything. So thank you, Voshel. You have given Jamboy his 5th first-round pick in 2 years. I despise you and Josh. You have a 3rd-round pick, and speaking of Josh, another 3rd-round pick. We have 4 picks in the next rookie draft, while we're already one of the youngest average age teams in the entire league, and we're at the top of the value rankings. We'll see if we address none of the needs that we had, because we had almost no needs later on. Moving on, we have Tank Nodell, which I still don't understand how he managed to throw that team together with it has Jerry Jeudy on the roster, and he's 3rd in team dynasty value. That is insane. Makes absolutely no sense. Helps to have 2 hero QB system, a QB factory, and Daniel Jones is going to win the job from Anthony Richardson, so you actually have 3. You get RJ at the end of the first round. You pass on wide receiver. You're pretty young there. You have Higgins. You traded for Devontae. You have Rashee Rice. You have Ladi Bakanki. So you go RJ. You don't go Ibuka there. Addressing a need because you're pretty old and you're pretty shitty at running back besides Saquon. Should work out for you. You pick up Monangai. Tight end. Jake Ferguson is a serviceable streaming tight end. You didn't feel the need to address that. It doesn't look like. We have our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks for the next 3 seasons. And that's how you set it a nice value, folks. QB Super Factory. It works out. 4th, yours personally and truly, Chase Jam. Lacking at the QB, but we are younger, and we do have some stability there under contracts. Brock Purdy and the big penis himself, Michael Penix Jr. You address getting a little younger. We do. At the running back position, getting rid of those pyramids and into some fountain of youth with Trevion Henderson, Trey, as he likes to go by. The number 7 rated running back consensus in Dynasty football today. Cam Scatterbu, we addressed that there as well, even ranked ahead of Aaron Jones. He won't maybe win the starting job, and he has a little injury in training camp right now. We'll see what we addressed in free agency, if we did the running back position in free agency at all. The number 1 ranked wide receiver and possibly the number 1 ranked overall fantasy football player today, Under contract for the next 5 seasons. Max deal, Jamar Chase, the team name, Chase Jam. The one and only, the All-Star. Behind him, we stay young, we stay golden. Matthew, we have Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jalen Waddle, Brandon Ayuk could make a comeback, and for an always steady Khalil Shakir, we'll see if we address any needs there later on. With the number 2 tight end in the entire league, the only way you can be even remotely okay with not having Brock Bowers, Trey McBride sitting right there, and Mark Andrews with a resurgence, no longer going into the season injured. It's going to look great for us. We have our second and our third, but no first. Yes, we spent that probably improperly. But we do have our first, second, and third round picks for the next 2 years after that. Maybe, depending on how this season goes, Chase Jam explores getting a first-round pick. 5th overall, we have Supersonic Rusty McDusty himself with Ja Gibbs. Bring, bring, collecting rings. Just not in the fantasy football realm. No, sir. I don't know. He barely made playoffs if he did last season. But we do have a young QB set and talented in Justin Herbert and J.J. McCarthy sitting with the ancient pyramid himself, Aaron Rodgers. Might want to address a younger QB in the future, but for now we're doing okay. With a great running back room of Jahmyr Gibbs and Kyron Williams and Chase Brown, all super young, and Keaton Mitchell is pretty useless. You might want to address a need there, but we didn't seem to do that. No, sir. We have a lot of wide receivers, but not highly ranked, although Marvin Harrison Jr. should be in due for a bounce-back season. We do have DJ Moore. We drafted Luther Burden. We have Stephon Diggs from last year, and we have Darnell Mooney still. Rashad Bateman and Rashad Shaheed. And we're taking a flyer on Isaac Tesla, who's looked good so far in the preseason and training camp. Drafting Tyler Warren to pair with David Njoku has solved our tight end problems. Didn't even need to figure out in free agency if we needed anything there. And with our first, second, and third round picks and an extra next season, as well as our first, second, and third for the next 2 years, we are looking golden in the draft capital value. Moving on, 6th, we have Midnight Cheese in a stunning development coming in as a merger and overtake the purchase of the previously named I Don't Give a Fucks. Midnight Cheese has come in and revamped their team, getting rid of Purdy and taking in Trevor Lawrence to pair with Lamar Jackson. He now has Travis Hunter to throw to. His running back room is what he's going to need to revamp, and it's going to be difficult, folks. Running back is a hard position to work through. He's going to need to look into that and figure out what he's going to do moving forward. But he did pull in Nico Collins. He did pull in Travis Hunter in a draft, and he does have scary Terry McLaurin still. It's not a bad running wide receiver room, but he is pretty old. He doesn't have a lot of dynamic rookie talent in this room besides Travis Hunter. That's something he will need to address moving forward as well. He's going to have to decide, is he competing now or is he competing for the future? And what does that mean? Is he going to go after draft capital and younger prospects? Or will he sell his capital, draft possibly capital, and move on and try to move up this board and maybe make a run in the playoffs as a 6th ranked value dynasty team? When you draft Colston Loveland, you can be a little bit flexible. Draft capital is lacking. He might need to compete sooner than he feels ready for. It's going to be interesting to watch Midnight Cheese and how their team develops and how they go as a manager coming in through an acquisition of an orphan team. Number 7 has made a lot of moves and essentially has just played patty cake with his brother to complete a super team that got him all the way up to 7th place in the dynasty values. Pretty shitty if you ask me when you have the pick of 2 full teams. What's the needs? Right now, it's the fact that he only has Drake May in the quarterback room. And that's a terrible offense as it stands. Will Drake May be able to take the next step this year? Who knows? We didn't address the need of a rookie QB in the draft. So what did we do to get there ourselves? We'll take a look later on. Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, and Ray Davis is not a bad running back room, but that's only 2 starting running backs total in the entire room. Ray Davis might take over for James Cook, as James Cook was kind of shitty and he did kind of hold out a little bit this preseason. Jonathan Brooks will never play again. Nick Chubb also has broken his knee a billion times. And Sean Tucker, I guess. But the saving grace of this team is having a hero wide receiver strategy with CeeDee Lamb and Drake London. Devontae Adams going to have Matthew Stafford throwing to him this year. He's going to be great. We're banking heavily, although the consensus rankings here don't seem to rank them very highly, Jack Besh and Kyle Williams this season. We'll see if we address any other needs at the wide receiver position. We did, through trade, get Sam Laporta because we were sick of playing Kyle Pitts and being a pit stain on the existence of our team. We do have our first 2 seconds. No, not our first. We have my first. That's where it went. I'm an idiot. We have 2 seconds and We have our first through thirds for the next 2 years. A lot of draft capital here. We can turn this team around really quickly despite being the 7th rated dynasty value team, in my opinion. Moving on, one of my least favorite teams and managers right now because of the stupidity of giving Jamboy that first round pick. We have Poopy Pants, Evan Voschel. We do have Jaden Daniels, but rumor has it Jaden Daniels is actually on the market. For the right price. It will likely have to be an overpay. We did draft Jackson Dart on a flyer, hoping he beats out Russell Wilson. And we do have Justin Fields, although he just went with a bad case of turf toe to the locker room and needed a cart to go there. Screams pussy. I don't think we're going to be feeling very good about that trade moving forward into this season. DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, Trey Benson, who did get some James Conner hype recently, and Tyrone Tracy, who should hopefully hold the job from Cam Skadabu. It's not a bad running back room, folks, but it's not looking good for the future. That may need addressing moving forward, and we'll see if we did anything about that in this free agency period. Puka Nacua, George Pickens, Trey Harris, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, and Isaiah Bond. That's an interesting wide receiver room. Isaiah Bond could be poised to shoot up the rankings should he ever get a team, but he's also a criminal, so he may never get a team. That will be a problem. Pat Freiermuth and Noah Gray is one of the worst tight end rooms I've seen so far in going through these rankings. We did not address that whatsoever, but we do have Travis's first round pick next season. We have our second round pick, and we have Chase Cham's second round pick for the next season. We have the Champ's second round pick. We have 3 second round picks next season. That is looking really great. He has been stacking the 2026 picks. He even did, in a trade this year, trade away his first for the 2025 season. In essence, for Travis's, I should say, 2026 first round pick instead. Believing that the 2026 season is going to be an excellent draft year. For the next years, we have our first, second, and third for the next 2 years. In the 9th overall position, it's going to be very hard to compete. They are deciding what they want to do and who they want to give up and what they want to provide their value in. We do have a young QB room in Bo Nix and Cam Ward. Geno Smith isn't even necessarily out of his prime. We have Devon Achane and a hungry Christian McCaffrey, as well as Tony Pollard, but nothing really else to speak of in the running back room. The wide receiver room is literally Justin Jefferson and a whole bunch of fucktards. Amari Cooper doesn't have a team. Tank Dell may never play football again. Calvin Ridley, I hate his guts, but he could have a bounce-back year. Jaden Reed might have lost his number 1 wide receiver position on Green Bay because they do not know how to use that fucker. That's what we're sitting with, and we're hoping on rookie Jaden Higgins to be our wide receiver 2. That is going to be a stretch, folks, in year 1 with Nico Collins still on the roster. George Kittle and Tucker Kraft's a great tight end room, though. We can make up for a lot of it there. In fact, Gesicki himself has some very good weeks. We have our first, second, and third for the next 3 seasons, so we're looking good on draft capital. The 10th overall team, the Buffalo Bills themselves. We have Josh Allen there at quarterback. You can't go wrong with that. And Jordan Love is a great superflex QB. The problem is our running back room. James Cook, Alvin Kamara on the downward trend so far. But can they hold off for one more season and hopefully extend him to the playoffs one more time? Caleb Johnson will get a lot of run, but that Pittsburgh offense is going to be terrible. We drafted him to make up for the fact that our running back room is really old and really bad. Our wide receiver room is a guy that has mush for brains. An old guy on the worst offense in the league, and an old guy on one of the better offenses in the league. After that, we have a lot of young talent, but they haven't really proven themselves yet. And Adam Thielen is losing out on touches to Tat McMillan, in my opinion. We're going to need to address that wide receiver room. Have we done that so far? Not yet, I don't think. We'll take a look. Our tight end room. We did pick up Darren Waller, it looks like, and Dalton Kincaid has been there because we are the Buffalo Bills and we are champions. We have our first, second, and third for the next 3 seasons. Perfectly fine draft capital. I would pivot if I were you sooner rather than later. In 11th, we have the Mud Dogs. Oh boy, the Mud Dogs. Not last place. I don't know how. We have a decent quarterback room. Not terrible. We did trade for Jared Goff. We did, because we were in last place to end last season, get the first overall pick and take Genty, the consensus number 1 overall pick in these rookie drafts coming into the 2025 fantasy football season. Joe Mixon, getting old. Zach Charbonnet is great when Kenneth Walker is hurt. Can we bank on that again? Probably. We actually can. So, not a bad pick. Brian Robinson will be the starter for this next season. Washington did not spend a ton of draft capital on a running back position, so we're fine there. Rico Dowdle's not going to do very much, and Justice Hill, he's good for, what he does. In the wide receiver room, while we are young, we are not high-end talent, at least yet. Romeo Dunze hasn't shown anything. Emeka Ibuka's in a tight wide receiver room with a lot of targets distributed around, even to the tight end room. So what's he going to look like in Season 1? The consensus rankings do not have him as a top tier, S-tier wide receiver at this point. We do have Ricky Pearsall as well and Jalen Royals. Dontavian Wixon. You know, it's young, but is there talent there? Not really. We're going to have to kind of get rid of some of those guys maybe and tier up or something. We're going to have to do something there, but we do have TJ Hawkinson in the tight end room. We're fine there. We are young with Mason Taylor as well. Our first and our third next season, and our first through third the next 2 seasons. Which leads us last and least, literally the last. Chuck and Knuckles in last place in Dynasty Value. Let's explore the reasons why this may or may not be the case. Right now, the problem tends to be our quarterback room. We don't have an S-tier quarterback, but we do have Kyler Murray. Not bad. The problem is Tua will never stay healthy. He is going to die this season, and you will have to play a non-quarterback in your Superflex. You will be at a disadvantage to every single team in the league. That is going to be a problem. Jalen Milroe will not start this season unless Sam Darnold goes down injured. Possible, but you're going to be banking on an injury, and that's never a good start to your season. Our running back room is banking on, again, somebody not getting hurt on said Seattle team. That's Kenneth Walker, a great running back in his own right, but he's had injury issues for the last few years. David Montgomery, we're hearing out of practice in camp that this season is going to be a 75-25 split, and I'm not talking in Knuckles' favor. No, sir. Sonic is taking over the position. Rusty McDusty's glad to hear that. After that, we have no flexible players. That is the unfortunate problem in a Superflex league if you don't have Tua. We have Tank Bigsby, a backup who may lose his job to Baishal Tootin. We have Tyler Algier, who does great when Bijan is hurt. But Bijan has not had a lot of injury history, and Tyler Algier is slowly but surely losing his hold on any portion of snaps in this running back room. We are taking a flyer on Devin Neal because Alvin Kamara is going to get older, and he could get injured. It might finally happen this season. If we have Devin Neal, we really have a shot there, and Roshan could get carries behind DeAndre Swift. But it's a lot of hope and a lot of mystery here. It's an interesting running back room. I don't know what you're going to get out of that. Our wide receiver room is our saving grace. Although it is not that young, we do have Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, and Jamison Williams. The problem is half of those are going to be on bye at the same time because they're on the same team. Josh Downs, well, an outstanding value wide receiver, should not be an every week starter flex position. That's a problem we have with this team, although he is an outstanding receiver. Like, I am so high on Josh Downs this season. Juwan Jennings could lose out touches to Ricky Pearsall. They do have Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, Christian McCaffrey's going to be back, and when Ayuk comes back, there could be loss there. Jennings is not highly rated as such. Romeo Doubs, that's just, he's not a wide receiver there anymore. Darius Slayton, with Neighbors not hurt, did nothing. Trey Tucker, they now have Jack Bash. He's not going to do much anymore and has plummeted down rankings as such. And Ray McLeod is unranked by consensus rankings. Again, Jonnu Smith was a great tight end, but now he's on the worst offense in the league. He's been traded to Pittsburgh. He's no longer at Miami. That's going to be a problem moving forward, especially if Aaron Rodgers plays like dog crap. We do have our first, second, and third for the next 3 years. We should think about trading our top-end talent, it looks like, and accruing draft capital, and maybe thinking about year 3 rather than next season. That is our 12-team league, and that was the Coors Light Cooldown, presented by Coors Light, the official drink of the NSTL Dynasty Fantasy Football League, presented by Coors Light, where there is always a Diet Coke near reach. Well, folks, we just went through the teams and our team needs, and we're going to explore what free agency looked like due to those team needs. Starting off with the Buffalo Bills, we had Dalton Kincaid, but we really didn't have anything else to speak of in the tight end room. So we went after Darren Waller, who's going to take the Jonnu Smith role and should do really well in that Miami offense, as long as Tua stays healthy. Don't mind the pick. Jamboy picks up his rookie wide receiver to keep his room young. Maybe a flyer. Who knows what happens? Here we go, folks. Here's what I wanted to talk about officially. I wanted to talk about Pat Bryant. Let's take a look here. Pat Bryant. What an outstanding pickup here. Did we need to spend $28? Absolutely not. That was a bit over the top. Let's take a look just for a little bit at some highlights here. This is what we're looking at. Pat Bryant. Boom. We got size. We have speed. He's been getting praised in the Denver training camp. Is he worth a $28 fat bib? No, probably not. But he can get open in the middle of the field. He can play the inside. He can play the outside. And with a lot of emphasis on the coverage of Cortland Sutton and Mims taking the top off the defense, there's going to be room for Pat Bryant to slot in single coverage and find himself getting open. He's really great in zone. Overall, we like to pick up. We also pick up Xavier Restrepo from the Tennessee Titans. Not a bad pickup. $0 as well. And we pick up Elijah Arroyo from the Miami. Another great pickup. There was multiple bids on Elijah. Tight end room we had Cade Otton. It wasn't bad by any means whatsoever. But when you have that flexibility and you're the champ, you can kind of take flyers on these guys. And you can kind of hope for the best. And this is a playmaking tight end, a receiving tight end. The types like Colson Loveland, etc. A little bit skinnier, running routes, great hands. This may end up being a great pickup, especially with the Seattle Seahawks dropping Noah Fant. There's going to be a lot of room for snaps for Elijah Arroyo moving forward. Woody Marks picked up. Perfectly fine. We needed to address running back a little bit, get a little younger. Somebody who at least has a chance of starting. He's going to be solo behind Joe Mixon. Not bad. Not bad at all. Here's the one that, folks, was interesting to me. $10. No other bids on said player. Isaiah Bond. Let's take a look at the tape. And see what we have here. I really don't know what you're doing ever, Vashel. Nothing you do makes sense. Everything you do pisses me off. You gave Heckman Joe Burrow. You pick up criminals who don't have a team. You give Jam Boy your first overall pick in 2026 for Rachaad White, who isn't even a starter. And now you spend your fab here when nobody else did. You could have got this guy for $0. Will he be worth it? I don't know. I don't know. Was he even the best wide receiver on his team? Statistically speaking, he was. Target share, he was. I mean, look at the speed here. He's got good size. We're playing a good Florida defense. One cut up field. He can break tackles. I mean, there's something there. If he gets on a team, this could be a great pickup. But is it worth the $10? Because we don't even know if he'll get a team. And looking at his stats as well. Looking at his stats here. Like, he had a better sophomore season in receptions for Alabama than Texas. We had more TDs, though. We took the top off the defense a little more. Yards per reception was a little more. Like, we improved. I don't know. I don't know if we're looking at something that's truly a great pickup there. I'm a little just not interested. Joe Flacco, the front runner in the quarterback position right now in the Cleveland offense. Picked up by Tank Nodell. Just another hitter there. Now he has 4 QBs possibly startable. He picks up Hunter Henry to solidify his tight end room. Not bad overall. Spent quite a bit of money, fab budget on Hunter Henry. Maybe a little over the top, but we did secure. Dante Thornton, that's another one I wanted to look at. This was an interesting one. We had, I think, 4 different bets on Dante Thornton. Very raw, but in a wide open Las Vegas offense. Especially the wide receiver room. When you have guys like Jack Besh and Thornton in there, and Jack Besh is going to allow Thornton a year or 2 to develop his route running and his football IQ. With his speed and his ability to take the top off the defense, this could be one of the sleeper pickups of the season. I have to give it to Baker My Flower for just a very witty, well thought out pickup on Dante Thornton. Just a great, great decision. I can't say enough about that one. Christian Kirk is so terrible. I know your bench is awful, but that guy sucks. Marvin Mims is terrible. No way you needed to bid fab on him with Pat Bryant in that offense. Nunguy's a good shout. If he overtakes Roshan, something could be there. Quinn Ewers is great to get younger for Carter's team. Mullings is an interesting one if you believe that Pollard is on his way out and Spears not being able to take over the role leaves it open. Miles Sanders is a complete nothing burger. Jalen Lane is a good little pickup in that offense, especially now with Scary Terry on his way out with a requested trade. Ollie Gordon, you're stupid. You're stupid, you're stupid. Torrey Horton, I think you did it just to do it. I really don't think you needed to. I don't think it does anything for your team. I do not know who this is. Good pickup, I suppose. Rashard Smith is a great pickup. I think he's going to overtake that white idiot that fumbled the ball all the time that Ham swore was going to take over for Pacheco. But instead, I took the criminal Kareem Hunt and crapped all over Josh's chest. Juwan Johnson, because you did need a tight end behind Colston Loveland. Fair enough. Dylan Gabriel, because he's ahead of Shadur. Speaking of Shadur Sanders, with an $8 bid. He could, what we're hearing, folks, the insider information is ownership for the Buffalo Bills said he could end up being really good. And I quote, could end up being really good. $8, they are taking a flyer, and I mean an absolute flyer, like a flying squirrel flyer, like monkeys flinging their poop flyer on Shadur Sanders, who is sitting out currently for shoulder soreness. We also pick up Kirk Cousins because obviously Shadur Sanders is not going to play a snap, and we knew that, and yet still bid $8 fab on said Nepo baby. Jordan James gets picked up behind now Isaac Rendo and Christian McCaffrey. I think that's Dynamic Brown. Sure. It means nothing. Alec Pierce, I loved him last year. I hardly ever played him when it mattered, though. He was always on my bench for his 38-point games. So, more power to you. I hope you play him when he goes off and not when he doesn't. I don't know this guy either. You know things I do not. You're going to have to give me more information and leak more things to Insider Castillo if you want a further in-depth analysis. And that was free agency, folks. What we can gather from this is every single team tried to address needs except one. I believe. Reading the names, yes. Except one. And that one team, folks, with a full fab budget still remaining. Who was it? Yes, it was Chucking Knuckles. In the eyes of the Flock Fantasy Consensus Pundit Rankings, we have done nothing to up our value. And it might be time to toss in the towel moving into next season before it even starts. It's a shame to say, but I do not see playoffs year 2 on the horizon. Moving on into our rapid fire round. Right now, on the table, trading block, Jaden Reed. Losing out, we hear, a little bit to Matthew Golden to the wide receiver 1 snaps. And on a team such as Cooper Pooper Scooper, what role does he really have to play? Not much. You could get value out of him. And so, we've heard he's on the market. In other news, Ladd McConkey, while not on the market, has been franchise tagged. If somebody is going to pry away Ladd McConkey from Tank Nodell, it is going to take a lot more than they're willing to pay, I'm imagining. It is going to be an overpay if you want Ladd McConkey. But there was interest, and that's why this has come about. There may have been multiple offers made on said Ladd McConkey. In other trade news, Mark Andrews is on the market. Has been. Most teams know this. There has not been any bites on the market for Mark Andrews. And folks, with that, that is going to wrap up our Coors Light Cooldown. Presented by Coors Light, the official drink of the NSTL Dynasty Fantasy Football League. Presented also by Coors Light, where there is always a Diet Coke within reach. We'll miss you, folks. And until next time, stay cool, stay frosty, stay Coors.